Mother Earth, Father Sky, can you hear me? Can you taste the tears I cry? Hummingbird, hummingbird, so sweet. Bless my words, bless my path, and bless my feet. She's heaven on earth. She's the one who gives birth to dreams new and old, and she dares to be bold. She is the sky, and oh, those tears she cries is medicine rain, and she grows from the pain. She in grandmother's clothes, she loved the life that she chose. She hold her head high and she sings through the night. She is made of feather and bone, and she's not alone. She howls at the moon, and she will teach us all soon. She will teach us soon. I spent so much time running away from myself, away from my darkness, and away from Rochelle. Now I'm beginning to see, no matter how fast I run, there ain't no outrunning me. Come along, brother, climb aboard. I don't know where this train is going. Oh, help me, Lord. Help me discover that which is true. Help me dissolve and melt inside of you, yeah. Here are my troubles in this brown paper sack. Let's light it on fire and never look back. I've learned how to speak the things I've never spoken. I've learned how to blaze a trail in the landscape of my soul. In the landscape of my soul. Today was gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. I know somehow you got to realize what you're gonna do. I don't feel that anybody knows the way I feel about you now. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. I'm sure you heard it all before, but you never had a doubt. I don't believe that any nobody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads that lead the way are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. And I said maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonder-wall, yeah. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary, she comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me. Speak words of wisdom. Speak thy words of wisdom, let it be. 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 There will be an answer. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. There will be an answer. Let it be. Thank you.
So as Angie said, I'm Alice Weber, and I guess I should use the mic. I recently heard a podcast from the Commonwealth Club of California, and if any of you are podcast people, that's a great resource. Anyway, I found this particular podcast to be really motivating and enlightening, and so I thought that I would share my takeaways from that with you today. But before I do that, I'm going to do a very brief little closer, all right? I don't love mics. Just a brief little family history. So I was born and raised in California. I graduated from BYU nursing program, and when we graduated, Wade went right into the Air Force. So we began moving. We eventually had 5 children, and we moved fairly frequently, being career Air Force. I worked during all this time that we were in the Air Force. I worked part-time as a nurse in a variety of medical locations in hospitals, doctor's offices, clinics. So we kept moving. Our last assignment in the Air Force was at Hill Air Force Base, and so we kind of settled here. When our youngest child was graduating from high school, I decided that I needed to make some changes in my life and kind of reinvent myself. So I went back to school to get my master's in library science, and then I became a medical librarian at the University of Utah. And I loved that job. I did it for 14 years before I retired, and now being retired, I find that I love retirement just as much as I loved my job. So the podcast speaker that I want to tell you about was Stephen R. Campbell. He is known, some of you may have heard of him, he is known as the brain whisperer. And he teaches how your mind can be your greatest adversary, or if you can understand it, you can transform it into your greatest ally. He shares the latest research about how the brain learns and how much of our behavior is based not on reality, not on the truth, but the truth as we perceive it, and that's different. So while I'm talking to you, you are all talking to yourselves in your head, but much faster than I am talking. And your brain accepts this self-talk to yourself absolutely without any question. It doesn't challenge it, it doesn't question it, it believes what you tell yourself. So if you say, oh, no way, I can't do that, your brain says, okay, you can't do that. And it doesn't bother to waste any time or any effort trying to help you do it. Because after all, you can't do it. It doesn't process any outside information. All it knows is what you are telling it. So if you say, absolutely, I can do that, then your brain says, yes, you can. And it promptly goes to work to help you find a way to do it, to help you become what you think you are, what you tell it you are. So you would think that outside information, feedback from other people might make a difference, but it doesn't actually seem to. Often because, let's say you've met a goal and somebody compliments you on that. And we say to ourselves, not really, or I should have been so much better. When what we are saying in effect to our brains is no, no, no. We're not accepting our successes. We don't tell ourselves. So what if you said to yourself, thank you, I know. Then your brain says, yes, you are a great teacher, or painter, or guitar player, or whatever you want to be. And you can be even better. That way your brain opens up the gate for even future successes and future improvement. We need to accept our successes. We let them go by too fast. So after we've done that, the next thing we need to do is throw away the list. And that's the list of our big bonehead mistakes. We all have that list, I'm sure. We need to just not keep bringing it up. We don't need to revisit that issue. Instead, we need to say, I'm never going to give up. I am going to keep trying and changing and learning. As long as I am doing that, I am going to make mistakes. But that's okay. Not being perfect does not mean that I am a failure. We need to strive for progress, not perfection. Keep moving in the right direction. Whatever we tell our brain will do everything it can to make that happen. So be accepting of ourselves and be kind to ourselves. Carol Dweck is a psychology professor who spent her career figuring out why some people give up in the face of failure and others are motivated to learn from their mistakes and improve. It's really about a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. The key, she found, isn't really about your ability. It's about how you think about your ability. Is it something inherent and fixed that needs to be demonstrated, or is it something that can be developed? In an early research project, they had children think out loud as they presented them with a number of challenges. And some of the challenges were designed specifically to be too hard. They could not accomplish it. So some of the children would give up and quit trying. They'd say, it's too hard when they reached that point. Others of the children were not discouraged. They didn't see themselves as failures at that point. In fact, the classic takeaway from that research project was one little boy, when he hit his first big stumper, pulled up his chair, sat down in the chair, rubbed his hands together and said, I love a challenge. Researchers put it this way: failure is information. We label it as failure, but really it's more like, this didn't work, but I am a problem solver and I will try something else. Mindset and approach to challenge really explains why some people think that they lack ability just because they hit a setback. The difference really is in the goals. Mastery-oriented people are really focused on learning something. They are determined that they are going to learn from this. Learning goals inspire different thoughts and different behaviors than performance goals. If we think we have to prove our abilities, then we don't want to take on tasks that are going to be hard and challenge our ability to complete them. If we have a learning mentality, a learning-oriented goals, then we accept the challenge as a learning opportunity. And so Stephen Campbell tells a really interesting and enlightening story. It helps to have a little background. He eventually he didn't start out as a teacher, but that was really his passion. He eventually became a teacher in information systems. So he was teaching at a college, and the administration came to him and said, our math teacher just left, we need you to start teaching math classes. He had always considered himself not good at math, and he said, oh, no, you don't want me, I can't do that, I'm not any good at math. And they said, well, if you want a job, you'll learn how. So he became a math teacher, he studied really hard, and eventually he became one of the most popular math teachers at that college. Students would say, I will only take math if I can take it from him. There was this one young woman that he tells about, and he had kind of known her family. She came in at the beginning of the semester to his office and said, I'm really very concerned about this class. I'm not a good math student. I want to pass this class. So he worked with her. He helped teach her goals. He helped tutored her. And after the first test in class, she came back to his office and said, oh, there's been a mistake. And he said, why? What's wrong? She said, I got an A on this test. And he looked at it and said, no, there's no mistake. You got an A. You know this information. She thought about that for a minute, and then she got a big smile on her face and said, do you know what this means? It means I can fail my next test and still get a C in the class. And the sad thing is, in real life, that is what happened. She did fail the next test, and at the end of the semester, she came out of the class with a C. So our brains can be our biggest ally. We need to just tell them what we are, and our brain will help us be it. Every minute of every day is a new opportunity for us to start again, begin a new life to be what we tell ourselves that we can be. So let's all appreciate who we are and talk kindly to ourselves and keep learning and growing and changing.